Hello. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, everybody. I think the microphones are working. Are they? Good. We're doing something different today, and hopefully it will become not different over time. This is another testimony. We've said that in our efforts to become more spirit led, one of the things we want to be doing is sharing testimony, sharing testimony in the congregation, uh, in the presence of the congregation, like the psalmist says. So the first one that we heard was from Will Doyle, and that's one form of testimony. You can come up here by yourself, and you can stand there by yourself and talk for 5 minutes or 25 minutes or whatever you want. Another form of testimony is what we're doing here today, and this is called what do we want to call it? Tag team testimony. Okay.
The interview. The
So
interview.
yes, the interview format. So I'm up here today. We're gonna hear from Derek, and it's about his testimony, and I'm up here to
This is. It's gonna. It might be an hour. I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know. Just kidding.
So
I'm just kidding.
we talked about it, and this was the way that seemed best to us to have Derek share his testimony. And I have some questions prepared to ask him, but if the conversation goes in a different direction, then so be it. We'll see what happens. Testimony is important in the church. The gospel is the announcement that Jesus is Lord. And the gospel is based in an event that happened 2,000 years ago about. And because of that event and that weekend and the crucifixion and the resurrection of Jesus, the church announces Jesus is Lord. And the testimony is to say Jesus is Lord in my life too. That's real. That's true. It's not just a title that we say out loud about Jesus. It's evidence and transformation and action that that's true. Jesus entered my life, and that he's real, and that I've been changed, and that he is Lord of my life. It's a form of preaching the gospel. So that's why testimonies are important, one of many reasons. So today we're going to hear from Derek. And Derek and I became friends. When did you move here? You can just keep it on the whole
No,
time.
that's all right. I know.
How, 5 years ago?
Yeah, about 5 years ago.
Okay.
What was it? 2019, I think it was.
Yeah. So
20. Yeah, almost 6 years.
we've been friends pretty much the whole time. And Derek and I have an interesting friendship because we're exactly the opposite. Derek is an extrovert and life of the party, and well,
Eh,
he can be, and I
kinda.
am not. Derek loves to go to concerts and stuff. He
Yeah, I like
loves
live
to live it
music.
up, and that's not my style. But Derek has taught me that that's important part of life too. So um, he likes to go to the front by the stage and dance. I like to stay in the back row and just watch.
Yeah.
But we help each other.
I try to encourage you to come
Yeah,
up a little. I try to
yeah. He encourages me. Yes.
encourage you. Yeah.
So so we're not exactly um, our personalities don't match up exactly, but we are friends because we have things in common. And at the beginning, that might not have even been everything we're going to say today. But now that's the center of what we have in common, the things that Derek's going to talk about today. So, Derek, what were your early experiences with faith and Christianity?
Well, I grew up as a Catholic. I from first grade to eighth grade, I went to a Catholic school, became an altar boy, did all that, went to church with my friends' family on Sundays. And then as I was growing up, uh, my grandfather would always say, "Pray with me," and do this, do that. It was kind of like I was a young kid, and I was kind of turned off by it a little, and kind of like felt like it was forced. Like I didn't learn myself. I wanted to figure things out on my own. So that would be one of the things that um, I kind of was a lost soul at that point. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't understand. Maybe I was being a little ignorant. But as I grew older, I mean, some people figure it out in their 20s. I mean, I'm in my 30s and I'm starting to figure things out now. But I know that the Lord and my Savior is Jesus, and I've come to find that through actually just a gentle push by my Uncle Mike. He would talk to me in the car, or we go on a road trip to go to Culver's or something, or just to a restaurant. And he would just talk to me like just as a real person, man to man, whereas it wasn't like felt forced, you know what I mean? If that makes any sense. So yeah, it was a little struggle, especially being a stubborn teenager in early 20s. But now that I have him in my life, I've known that I've been a lot more patient, not as anxious or, you know, quick to get angry as much as I did when I was younger.
You
So yeah.
you mentioned that you're in your 30s. Is that
Yeah,
true?
well, I was in my
Oh,
30s. No, I said
okay.
I was in my 30s when I when
Okay.
when I figured that out. I just turned 41, so don't tell
Just
anyone.
want to make sure we tell the truth.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But you were also raised in a Catholic
Yeah,
context as well. Is that
yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah. We mean we'd have like we'd have certain assemblies. I don't. It was a long time ago, so I'm not. My memory might fail me a little bit on this, but I remember we'd have to go to confession, and we'd have to tell the priest what happened, and you go in a room by yourself, and that was the weirdest thing is like I'd tell all my whatever sins and all that, and then when I'd get out, I felt like it was weird. I had like a smile on my face, or like an epiphany. Like I was just like, everything's gonna be okay. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how to describe it. It's just that's how I felt after I did the confession. And a funny story: my great grandmother, my mom's on my mom's side, I believe. It wasn't Matarazzo. It was that might be my dad's. I'm sorry, my dad's grandma, my great grandmother, she would always go, oh, you Father Bagot, Father Bagot. She had like an Italian accent, and she would always ask me if I was ever going to become a priest when I grew up, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm like 14 years old, so I mean, I always like just like she was a nice old like lady. She's Italian, and then I don't want to ramble too much on, but yeah, that was kind of a little funny story.
Yeah. So there were positives
Yeah,
that you gained
gain from it.
values from growing up in a
Abs-
Christian context.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, but still there was some
Struggle with
yeah
figuring out. I wanted to figure things out on my own. I don't know if that sounds stubborn or bad or whatever, but I didn't. I felt like kind of like how my sister. I don't want to compare, but it's kind of like if you're younger and you did sports and your parents kind of forced you to like want to hey, you do hockey or whatever, do basketball. It's like, let me do it. If I want to do it, I'll do it. If not, it's going to be like an opposite effect,
yeah when you force it too much
Yeah.
they learn to
Not
dislike
like
it
Yeah.
or worse
It's like opposite day.
yeah yeah.
But yeah.
So that's kind of the context and an experience you had through high school. What about
Oh,
after high school and your
I mean,
faith?
after high school, I didn't really do. I think there was a time in my life where I didn't have any like going to church or anything like that. It was like a distant, like I was totally not doing any of it. And then I was just like, when I got married and everything, and my 30s, what was it? 30s, I think. But yeah, when I got married, that's when I started figuring things. Like I was with a previous girlfriend for like years, like almost 10 years, and it was like we were in a rut. We didn't know what we were doing. I don't know. I didn't know what I was doing or whatnot, but that was a huge teaching moment for me. Like I needed some sort of structure in my life. I don't have that. So I met my current wife now, and a lot of patience and a lot of stuff that we do struggle with. I mean, a lot of mental health stuff that she has gone through that really takes a toll sometimes. And no, you guys say something.
Yeah, so that period after high school until maybe it's 15 years or so.
Yeah, it was
It was
just nothing. It was no thinking about Jesus, no thinking about God, just being an angry 20-something-year-old, I guess, with a lot of anxiety and just a lost soul. I didn't know what I was doing. I still kind of don't know what I'm doing, but I'm learning now.
yeah. And were there any maybe there weren't, but were there any major questions that were that you had in that period
Just
of
my
15 years?
like what am I doing? What is my purpose in life? What is my goal? Why am I here? I don't sometimes struggle with that to this day. Like what is my purpose? I love to help people. I like to, help younger generation learn, about Jesus and everything, and um and do it in like a gentle, non-forceful way, I guess you could say. I don't know. I
Yeah.
just feel like I could do more, and sometimes I struggle with just kind of getting in that comfort zone and not, coming out of it. Like singing, for instance, like I never thought in my wildest dreams I'd be singing in front of a congregation in church, and I did it. And it was like almost like a blessing, like it happened. I don't know if like I was guided by the Spirit and the Lord.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about how you went from what you were describing after high school to um, leading songs on Sunday. Not that that's the goal of every
Yeah,
Christian or something,
yeah,
but that's a big change. That's a big
it's
transformation.
yeah.
What tell us about that journey? How did you come to know
So
God?
so Uncle Mike, he was big influence on the whole thing with the whole situation. That's how I met you, and we became friends. We went to a coffee shop. I was nervous and very reserved and didn't know what to say at the time. What was
You're talking about you
appropriate?
and me.
Yeah, you and
Yeah,
you and
yeah,
me. Yeah, sorry. And I just wanted to. I did want to open up, but it's just like I don't know what the. It was just I was probably a little nervous too, honestly, and I don't have too many friends. Like, you know what I mean? So I kind of struggle with that sometimes because I have a hard time forming relationships with people, I guess you could say. But now that I have the Lord, I don't really struggle with that much. As I feel like this whole congregation is a family to me, and I appreciate every single one of you in here. And so not to get off topic, but
yeah.
so I went. We hung out, and then a few years later, we were at a cookout. Do you remember that? We were at a cookout at my mom's backyard, and I don't know who it was. I think my mom might have actually suggested, "Hey, why don't we go get baptized today?" I'm like, "What? No way." I go, "You're joking, right?" And I was just like, "No, seriously, we're gonna go. Okay, fine, let's go." We all, packed up the cars and walked up to the church building and hopped in, and my mom got baptized, and then I did right afterwards. I don't know if it was that order, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
Yeah,
So
that's kind of like what happened to me too. Like
yeah,
you think about it for a long time, and
and then you
when
just do it. Just
yeah, there's months
just
or
rip the band-aid
whatever where
off.
you're like, I don't know, should I or should I not?
Right.
And then something just happens to like
It's all
say, let's do it right now, and then you, yeah,
to me that like if you overthink it, it's not gonna happen. I feel like the Spirit's leading me just to do it. Like just do it. Like
yeah. Well, this question was not supposed to be about me.
no,
This was supposed to be when you can talk about
yeah,
the
yeah, no,
influence
no,
that Mike had in
yeah. So
in your
so
journey.
yeah, so Mike would always like talk to me and everything, and he was just subtle and sorry, I went off topic again, but we're just having a conversation. So yeah, he would just, we'd be on long road trips to visit our cousin up in Grayling, and we'd just talk and just talk about life, just what's going on, what are you struggling with, and this and that. And he's always like, Jesus is always, with you, and he's always going to be there for you. And it started to like click, like it just started, light bulb went off in my head, and he's, I'm like, oh, he's right, you know. So that's when I started, coming to church as much as I often can on Sundays, and and went from that to being song leader. But if go ahead, I don't know. I don't have any other. I can't think of anything else at the time, at this moment. But
What was your experience? So, if you didn't know, Derek's from Boston. Actually, still in my phone, the
well,
your name in my phone is called Derek from Boston. I don't
that's
even write your last name.
that's funny. That's what they call me at work. They go,
Yeah.
"Hey, what's up, Boston?"
Yeah,
Hey.
so I never changed that. Um, but you moved here, you said in 2019
Yeah, it was like
from Boston.
2019.
And what was your experience visiting our uh, our church?
I felt like I belonged. I felt peace. I felt joy, if that makes any sense. And just knowing that I can be a part of something, you know. I mean, I'm mostly like just stay in the house, and even though he says I'm an extrovert, I do stay in the house a lot too, though.
He is around me.
But I try to get out too. Moving here was it was a journey. I felt like that was another blessing in disguise. I mean, I felt like I wanted to be closer to my mom. She struggled with breast cancer and stuff, and I wanted to spend more time with her, and then get out of the rut and the rat race of a big city. Puts a lot of stress, and mental health kind of starts to get in the way. So I wanted to be more of a relaxed, laid back situation where I can feel more at peace and be myself, I guess, more.
Yeah. And how has your mom's faith and experiences and journey influenced you?
Just her struggles through her breast cancer and her journey, when she used to tell me all these stories about how she'd drive after going to chemo and driving her FedEx truck and all that. Like, just stories of how she's so strong and everything, you know, like, how could you do that? It's wild. And then it's just like a miracle. She like went through that whole journey, and then she's fine, like nothing, like except for she has her back hurts a little. But she's, you know, I just wanted to spend more time on this side and kind of get away from the whole, like, it almost like was like a calling in a way. Like, I just one day I was like, hey, I'm gonna move to Michigan. Didn't like, it was like 1 or 2 weeks, and then you know what, we packed up all our stuff and we drove out here, and here we are, you know. It's like I never would in my wildest dreams ever thought this would be where I'd be, but this is where I feel like I'm welcome and I feel home.
Uh, a couple more questions. You've talked about now you've matured and grown and transformed in your discipleship following Jesus.
Hmm.
Um, Even so, I think we all have disappointments and struggles and discouragements and stuff.
Hmm.
What sorts of things do you still struggle with today?
I was just talking earlier about like at work, like trying to like impress your boss, or like trying to, you know, just be a good like worker, and always thinking that you're not doing good enough, and not being appreciated sometimes, I guess, kind of I struggle with, because I mean, not to, but I think I'm too hard on myself a lot, and that causes me to, I mean, I've had points in my life where I was at, well, not my life, my few like months past, I should say, where I've actually had a breakdown at work where I was in tears because I didn't know what to do. Like, I just was lost, and I couldn't help it. Like, it just came out of nowhere. So, I mean, I don't know if maybe in my head I was thinking, maybe I hope I didn't disappoint this person, or I didn't do enough. But I feel like I do enough. I feel like I do, because I have Jesus, you know. I actually went and broke down in tears, and I went to a private area and I prayed, and I took a couple deep breaths, and I was I was fine. Like, I felt like he was giving me like a warm, embracing hug, you know.
Yeah.
But I struggle with anxiety, depression, like everybody else. I mean, I'm human. So, yeah, I just try to pray more, go to the Lord.
Yeah. And how you've grown in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
Can you name some of those, or what are some noticeable changes in your life since you have been following Jesus?
I think the biggest thing for me is patience. I've gotten to be a lot more patient because I know that in the end things are going to work out, especially like work related or even life in general. Just I know that in the end it might take 5 minutes, it might take 10 minutes, it might take a month. You don't know. As long as you have him in your life, everything will be okay. Lord.
Um, I know that you had a verse that you wanted to share along those lines. You want to
Yeah,
share that now as we're wrapping up here?
yeah, sure. I got this one thing. It's just about anxiety and everything. I have it bookmarked right here. It's just from
Joshua.
Joshua verse 1. Joshua 1 verse 9. Be strong and courageous. Do not be terrified. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. That's just what resonates a lot with.
Yeah, so you can carry around those words with you each day, and it's a comfort. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, did any
I just want to say
Yeah.
thank you everybody for really like accepting me. You guys are awesome.
Well, we love you too, Derek. We're glad to have you here. I want to share a verse today in the lectionary is a reading from 1 Corinthians 13. I thought this was a good description of Derek and what I see in him. It's a text that we read last week, the one about love. And nobody's perfect. I'm not saying Derek is perfect at all these things, but when I see him, he teaches me what love means. And Jesus has brought about these characteristics of him in his life. So Paul says in 1 Corinthians 13, love is patient, love is kind, does not envy, does not boast, it is not proud, it's not rude, it's not self-seeking, not easily angered, keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. And as we all know, the last line, love never fails. So, Derek, thank you so much for sharing today and for demonstrating, living the love of Jesus and how that's made a difference in your life. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome, and thank everybody again. Appreciate it.
Okay, let's stand and sing.